The UFC heavyweight division is perhaps at its highest it's been in a very long time. You have Stipe Miocic, Jon Jones looming over the division, Cyril, Tom Aspinall, Tai Tui Vasa. Curtis Blaydes just got a fantastic win. And of course, Francis Ngannou as the heavyweight champion of the world. There's so many great matchups that can be made right now. And in this video, I want to break down how I would sort of book the UFC heavyweight division moving forward for the rest of this year. So let's get into it. Of course, you can't talk about the UFC heavyweight division without talking about Jon Jones. Really, the way you break down this division comes down to what Jon Jones wants to do. So Jones has stated that, he stated at points that he only wants to come back and fight for the actual heavyweight championship, fight the actual heavyweight champion. But of course, Francis Ngannou, who just had knee surgery, isn't going to be ready until probably sometime early next year. Does Jon want to wait that long, given that Dana has already said that they plan to make an interim title fight, probably sometime in the summer? I don't know if that's the wise idea, because if he waits that long, assuming he gets the Francis fight, assumes that he gets the Francis fight, the interim title holder is going to get that fight over him, which means he's going to have to wait even longer and prolong, his absence. So here's how I would book it. But of course, it depends on Jones. If Jon wants to fight, he has to be a part of the interim title fight. He just has to be. GSP got an immediate title shot. Khabib, if he were to move up, would definitely get a title shot right now, or at any point in his career when he was champion. Conor McGregor got an immediate title shot at 155 when he moved up. I'm sure there's other guys. Henry Cejudo, Daniel Cormier. You know what I'm saying? So if DC can get an immediate heavyweight title shot, Jon Jones for sure, has earned an immediate title shot based on everything inside the cage. We're not talking about his personal life. We're not talking about none of that. Just talking strictly, his career and his record as a fighter. He's earned an immediate heavyweight title shot. But with Francis out of the fold for now, I would do Jones versus Stipe for the interim heavyweight title sometime in the summer, July, maybe August, maybe even September. Sometime in the summer, early fall. Pitting the greatest light heavyweight of all time against the greatest heavyweight of all time. That is the biggest fight of the year when you're talking about skill for skill, when you're talking about legacy. That is the biggest fight the UFC could put on this year, is Jones versus Stipe. And it's a great fight. And Jones has teased that he would take the Stipe fight on Twitter a couple times. Now, of course, this is Jon Jones on Twitter, and he says a lot of shit on Twitter, and we can't necessarily take that with a grain of salt. But he did say, hey, I'm kind of down for the Stipe fight. So I would do Jones versus Stipe for the interim title fight. Boom, you have that solved. Then I would probably do Cyril against Curtis Blaydes. And hear me out. I know Curtis has been on a bit of a losing streak. Just beat Chris Daukaus, who, another story for another day. He did not deserve the number 4 ranked heavyweight in the world. He just did not. But Curtis Blaydes took care of business, did what he needed to do, got a win. I would do Curtis Blaydes versus Cyril because I want to see how Cyril deals with the grappling and the wrestling of Curtis Blaydes. Of course, we saw how he dealt with the grappling of Francis Ngannou, who is not really known for his grappling, and for all intents and purposes, Curtis Blaydes is a much better wrestler than Francis Ngannou. And we saw Francis be able to sort of handle Cyril in a lot of the exchanges. So I'm very interested to see Cyril versus Curtis Blaydes because I want to see how Gane deals with the wrestling. I don't think Blaydes would have much to offer on the feet, but if he mixes in takedowns, he could land something too. All these guys at heavyweight just need to land one punch, one clean punch to knock anybody out. You know, these are the big boys. So, but yeah, I would do Curtis Blades versus Cyril Gane, and then I would do Tai Tui Vasa versus Tom Aspinall. And I like this matchup a lot because it's the two fresh faces in the top 5. The two new guys in the top 5 at the top of the division. And it potentially builds the fight that we all want to see, and the fight I definitely want to see in Cyril Gane versus Tom Aspinall. Now, obviously, they have to win these fights, and these are tough matchups. Tai Tui Vasa can crack with the best of them. Curtis Blades in that wrestling is going to be a big challenge for Cyril. But if those two guys take care of business, and they beat those two, then we get Aspinall versus Cyril Gane for the #1 contender to see who fights the winner of Francis versus the Stipe Jones winner. That's in a perfect world if Jones takes the fight against Stipe. But we know this world ain't perfect, and Jones could very well wait even longer and tease even longer and talk on Twitter even longer. And if he does that, if he declines the Stipe fight, then I would do Stipe versus Cyril Gane. You have the two top heavyweights outside of the champion going up against each other. You know, Stipe really deserves the trilogy fight against Francis. They're not going to hand it to him, though. He's going to have to earn it. And then Cyril Gane lost a very close decision to Francis. Don't get me wrong, I did have Francis winning 3-2, but that 5th round was very close. Neither one really did any damage, so you had to really determine it by control, and that's always tricky. But Gane won the first 2 rounds for sure, clean. Francis won the next 2 clean, and I gave Francis the 5th round because he controlled Cyril Gane for most of it. Cyril never really had Francis in trouble with any of the submissions. Francis pretty much controlled Cyril Gane that whole 5th round, so he got the 5th round. But that was a close fight. So I would put Cyril, even though they're both coming off losses. Stipe is the heavyweight GOAT, and it has a win over Francis, so he gets a slot. And then Cyril Gane, coming off a close loss to Francis, undefeated otherwise, he gets the other slot. Again, this is if Jones declines the Stipe fight and declines an interim title fight. Then it gets tricky because Jones isn't going to fight anybody, so you can't really slot him in the mix. So what I would do next is probably Taitu Vasa and Curtis Blades, I guess. Curtis is ranked number 4 before he fought Chris Daukaus. Tai is, I think, ranked number 3 now. So that's the perfect matchup to make. See how Tai can deal with Curtis's wrestling. Can he land that big bomb on Curtis Blades? Or can Curtis crack him? Curtis has knockout power, man. But Tai's got a hell of a chin. So that's a fire fight. That's a barn burner for sure. That's a good fight. And then I would do Tom Aspinall against Derek Lewis. I think Tom beat Volkov his last fight, which was a good win, a very good win. But I don't think Volkov was ranked in the top 5. Derek Lewis might not be ranked top 5 anymore, but he's been in the top 5 before, consistently throughout his career. So I think that's a good fight for Tom Aspinall to take. See how he deals with the power. Can he stay on the outside? Can he chop at Lewis's legs? Can he take Lewis down? Can he submit him? I think that's a good challenge for Tom to have right now to see if he can really hang in the top 5 of the heavyweight division. So that's how I book it, guys. Let me know what you guys would do with the UFC and their heavyweight division right now. I really, really hope we get to see Jones versus Stipe. Because like I said before, that's the biggest fight the UFC could put on this year. Given that Francis is out, obviously Francis versus Jones would be a bigger fight. It would be a crazier fight. But he's out. And a consolation prize of Stipe versus Jones for an interim title sounds pretty damn good to me. Hopefully Jones takes that fight. I'd love to see it, man. Let me know what you guys think, what you guys would do, how you guys would book the UFC division, the UFC heavyweight division. And next I want to talk about the UFC flyweight division because it's getting really interesting in that division. But Thanks for watching. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, follow me on Twitter and TikTok. Those links will be in the description below. Appreciate the love, appreciate the support as always, and see you on the next one.